Canada betrayed. Europe turns its back. Carney blames Trump. Joly sparks outrage. Canada's economic landscape has faced a dramatic downturn, characterized by a staggering $21.2 billion current account deficit in the second quarter of 2025. This represents an alarming 13.1% drop in exports, marking the worst decline in the nation's history. This economic collapse is not merely a product of isolated incidents, but rather a convergence of multiple factors. The imposition of tariffs by the United States has severely restricted Canadian goods market access, while a stronger Canadian dollar has further exacerbated the situation, making Canadian products more expensive and less competitive in international markets. The energy sector, a cornerstone of Canada's economy, has been particularly hard hit. Exports in this sector have plummeted by an eye-watering 20%. This decline is alarming not only for its immediate economic impact but also for its long-term implications, as Canada's energy resources are among its most valuable assets. Similarly, the automotive industry has suffered significant losses, with exports declining by 17%. This downturn threatens not just jobs, but the entire supply chain that supports these industries. Despite these distressing statistics, the federal government has been sluggish in responding with effective policy changes that could alleviate the crisis. Prime Minister Mark Carney's administration has come under fire for its handling of the economic crisis. Critics argue that instead of addressing the root causes of the trade deficit, such as the urgent need for stronger trade agreements and enhancing domestic competitiveness, the government has focused on symbolic gestures that do little to resolve the underlying issues. For instance, Foreign Minister Mélanie Joly has been vocal in her criticisms of opposition leader Pierre Poilievre, yet this rhetoric has failed to address the pressing economic challenges that Canadians are facing daily. Furthermore, Carney's reintroduction of the carbon tax, now under the guise of the Clean Fuel Standard, has added another layer of financial burden on Canadians. While the government maintains that this measure is essential for environmental progress, it has resulted in higher fuel prices without delivering any significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. The approach to energy policy has been another contentious issue. Canada is blessed with abundant natural resources, including oil, gas, uranium, hydroelectric power, and critical minerals. However, these assets remain underutilized due to a series of restrictive policies that stifle development. Initiatives like the No More Pipelines Act and Bill C-69 have hindered the development of essential energy infrastructure, including liquefied natural gas, LNG, terminals, and pipelines. In 2022, when Germany sought LNG supplies to reduce its dependence on Russian energy, Canada declined to provide assistance, citing a lack of a business case. This decision allowed other countries, notably the United States and Qatar, to step in and fulfill Europe's energy demands, further isolating Canada from its most significant trading partner and contributing to the growing trade deficit. The United States has capitalized on Canada's reluctance to expand its energy exports by ramping up its own LNG production and exports, thereby strengthening its position as a key energy supplier to Europe. This shift has not only isolated Canada, but has also exacerbated the trade deficit, as Canadian goods become less competitive compared to American alternatives. The government's foreign policy initiatives have also come under scrutiny. Despite numerous trips and high-profile meetings with European leaders, including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Canada's global trade relationships have not yielded substantial results. Exports outside the United States remain weak, while imports continue to rise, further increasing the trade deficit. These developments suggest that Canada's efforts to diversify its trade relationships have been largely ineffective, leaving the nation vulnerable to economic shocks. Prime Minister Carney's focus on maintaining a green image on the international stage has also drawn criticism. While the government has implemented climate regulations to align with international commitments, these measures have not led to meaningful reductions in emissions. Instead, they have resulted in higher costs for Canadians without delivering the promised environmental benefits. Additionally, the government's subsidies and carve-outs for major oil and gas companies raise concerns about the fairness and effectiveness of its climate policies, as the financial burden seems to fall disproportionately on average Canadians. In contrast, Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre has proposed an alternative approach, advocating for the removal of unnecessary taxes and the opening of domestic energy markets. He argues that such measures would not only reduce costs for Canadians, but also stimulate economic growth. Poilievre's plan includes eliminating the carbon tax and repealing restrictive energy policies, which he believes would unlock Canada's full energy potential. By doing so, he envisions Canada becoming a more competitive player in the global energy market, thereby strengthening its economic position. The media's role in shaping public perception of the government's policies has also sparked discussions. While mainstream outlets like CBC have focused on legal battles and transparency issues, alternative platforms such as Ground News have highlighted the government's failures in addressing the trade deficit and energy policy challenges. This disparity in media coverage underscores the need for a more balanced and critical examination of the government's actions and their impacts on the populace. Canada's economic and energy policies have far-reaching consequences for its future. The current trade deficit and excessive reliance on a single trading partner leave the country vulnerable to external shocks. To mitigate these risks, Canada must implement policies that promote domestic competitiveness, diversify its trade relationships, and fully leverage its natural resources. This includes investing in crucial energy infrastructure, such as LNG terminals and pipelines, while also removing barriers to energy development. In conclusion, Canada's current economic trajectory is unsustainable. The government's failure to address the underlying causes of the trade deficit, coupled with ineffective energy policies, has placed the country's economic future in jeopardy. It is imperative that policymakers prioritize practical solutions over symbolic gestures to ensure a prosperous and secure future for all Canadians. Only through a comprehensive and proactive approach can Canada hope to reclaim its position as a leader in both the global economy and energy markets.